Come on over here. This is Skylar. This is my son Skylar Pink. And he has been working with his psychic skills for quite some time. So the first thing I want to do is let him introduce himself, and then we'll tell you what we're up to. Go ahead.
I'm Skylar. Hi everyone. I really love doing what my mother and I do. We do a lot of similar things, but also a lot of different things. But we like to cover as many bases as we can, so that's one of the reasons for our differences, I think. But primarily, I think our core, like with the tarot, very much the same. Then I do like Celtic Reiki and different types of healing, and I'm very interested in my Norse kind of lineage, Celtic values. Of course, we share some of those, but there's some that I've delved into a little bit differently or deeper than you, and that I think make us a really good team.
Absolutely.
In terms of what we bring to the table individually, I think it's very helpful as a whole for our whole in our business, Earth and Sky Connection. I obviously have my own platforms. Necessary thing for me to kick it up a notch and get involved with what's going on these platforms, even though I'm a little bit more grassroots and a little bit more barefoot, kind of don't touch the technology thing.
He's resisting. He's been resisting it for years. Introduce you to his TikTok, which is...
So my profiles are mostly Island Psychic Skylar. That's true of my Instagram and my TikTok.
So yeah, Island Psychic Skylar, and spell that with a Skylar.
Underscores in between the words, so Island _ Psychic _ Skylar. Skylar.
And now, I thought, and this is what we're going to do, and I've done this to him plenty of times, is surprise!
What are we doing?
Okay, so September's coming up, and I'd like to do just a little brief, sort of a tease on all the astrology signs, and we're going to do one at a time.
I really love the New Vision. I'll use that one.
Use the New Vision?
Yeah, okay. This is a great deck.
Yeah, so yeah. Let me just show you what card you have. The Sun card?
The Sun is there.
So that's a good card because it's a Leo season card. And I just want to show you something so you can get some sort of idea of the uniqueness of this deck.
Just as a mention, for those who don't know about the New Vision, essentially what it's doing is giving you what that character would be looking at themselves as opposed to you looking at the character. So giving you the card through its eyes. There's lots of decks that I love, but I gotta say this one's got a really interesting flavor that it has to share with
See how they're a little bit different? Yeah. So this is the front. This is the traditional deck. And now you can see the back of him and what he's looking at. Okay? And if you look deeper, you see there's people here in the background. So this is a very unique deck. And I thought you would like that deck. That's the reason why I pulled it out. I know my boy.
Yeah, it's a good deck. I love this one.
New Vision, it's called. And this is the Rider-Waite traditional deck. And he's using the New Vision. What the Aries will experience for the month of September. And Aries, you are in the hot seat for some fun and some happiness. Looks like you guys have been waiting for this month to come along. I'm going to say you're going to be wined and dined and have lots of fun and feeling really solid month coming about your life and about where you're going.
Oh, you got the High Priestess, and it's upright. A lot of your spirituality is going to be activated, probably due to some of the positive energy that you're going to experience on those other levels my mother was speaking about. I'd also say that very important things that you will be able to gain from listening to the goddesses around you. Not just your own inner word to the goddess, but those who you hold holy and sacred in your circles. So make sure you listen to your mama.
That's coming from my boy, and now that makes me happy. So that was good for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. And if you have lots of Aries aspects in your chart, you want to listen up for that, okay? So that's for September. Taurus now. So this is for Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. What is the theme for September for Taurus? Let's see. Ha! That's a little bit of a difficult card to have there, Taurus. You guys have been having a little bit of a struggle recently. The Moon card does, well, there's some good and bad. The Moon card speaks of using your psychic skills in order for you to be clear about what's going on, because not everybody's going to be clear and honest. You may face some deception, and by using your psychic skills, you'll be able to understand where things really are, not just by what somebody says, but what's really happening. So I think it's really important for you to pay attention. The other thing is really telling me that you're going to probably get a lot of your power, a lot of your energy coming from the very late time of the day. Okay?
All right. So I got the Two of Swords in reverse. I'd say that this card has a lot of indecision in it, and also is very important to make sure that if you feel things to be a hard decision, that you really look at them clearly, because there could be some false pathways in front of you. That maybe the two directions you feel you could be headed aren't necessarily right for you, and to really consider your options, and where sometimes not making a decision is the best path for you.
So like when in doubt, sit it out?
Yeah, it's best to not make mistakes, especially in pressure.
I agree. Gemini Sun, Moon, and Ascendant for the month of September.
Love me a gem.
You love gems, all right. All of his friends and besties are all Geminis. Here we go. Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. This is for you. And if you have lots of Gemini aspects for September, listen up. Oh, this is awesome. I love this card for you. This means that if you've had any... This card is an awesome card for you, Gemini. It says that new beginnings, new opportunities, new business. If you want to put some investments together, or you want to make an investment somewhere, I'm going to say this is the time to do it, because it's really going to help you move forward. I really like this card for you. And it's about time, because you guys have been sort of struggling trying to get to this good place. It's here. September's going to be good.
Emperor in reverse. This card, especially in the new vision, because it has this tortoise here. If you can't see it, I'll get a little closer to you. This tortoise right here. There's a lot of very important value to what that wisdom really brings, that safety and that kind of like structure, that exterior structure. A lot of the time the Emperor is talking about things being, kind of squared off and put in their box. And with the card being in reverse, I think a very important thing to mention about it is that you need to make sure that and as I said earlier with the listen to your mom, I think it's a time that we really need to start paying more homage to that holy feminine energy and allow space for it to kind of take over and move into its place. Its place in the way that the solars are changing and moving into the age of Aquarian. These types of things, we're stepping out of that masculine mindset. So to follow the flow, I would suggest that you allow some of that masculine mindedness to go away, to make space for more spiritual and more
feminine.
Yeah, feminine kind of mindset, regardless of your gender, of course, or your decision upon it, to allow things to flow more simply and be more circular.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that I often see the Ace of Pentacles to represent is possibly inheritance or investments or someone passing money down to you. Pay attention. Cancer Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. And if you have lots of Cancer aspects, you want to pay attention. Well, this is better than August, I can tell you that. This is the World card, and the World card speaks about opportunities, maybe even a little bit of travel, looking at your universe in a different way, making a sort of coming full circle to something, and trying to really pick out the best things that you should be doing. Also maybe coming to the situation with awareness and innocence, something that maybe you didn't come to a situation with previously. And it's a good time to do so. Okay?
Well, we got the Page of Wands in reverse. Something I'd like to say about the Page of Wands in reverse is that especially your earthly being and who you are in a more physical sense might need you to pay a little bit more attention to it. We're all just kind of learning how to be in this life as the page. We're all just kind of doing our best and going off of what we have. So, especially at this time for you, I would suggest that you allow your things like your diet and your health to be really reconsidered, and see if there's something that you can do to reevaluate and empower that part of yourself and learn something new. Lastly, I'll say about this card that if you're down on yourself and your physical being at this time, to firstly be a little bit more gentle with yourself, give yourself a break, but not necessarily a physical break. Like, pick up the slack that you feel is making you what you don't want to be. Change it. Even if it doesn't change like that, make sure you put the energy in.
Mm-hmm. I like that. Okay. Leo, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant, and this is for the month of September. This is your little sneak peek into what's going to happen. Here we go. I'm a Leo, so when I see this card, I hate it. This is a King of Wands in reverse. It says, Leo, be mindful that you don't meet up with someone who is selfish, self-centered, criticizing, racial, all those things you don't like about people could be in this person. So don't let someone fool you or pull the wool over your eyes, Leo. Be very careful because you never know. This type of man, not my favorite. I could say worse, but I'm going to leave it at the short version.
Temperance. Upright temperance. I think especially coupled with the card that my mother received for you, Leo, and received for herself in some ways, that patience is truly spoken there, and to not let something that seems like, a great thing end up your wolf in sheep's clothing. Yep. Allow yourself to kind of dip your feet into things sometimes, but not to jump in with both feet, and allow yourself to manage the flow in a way that helps you get where you need to be, but don't get stuck in it. Mm-hmm. And make sure you don't let it get out of hand. It's very important with this card and temperance to take your time and really pay attention to the details.
Sometimes we just, quickly get really amortized by somebody who seems so perfect. But a lot of people got a lot of stuff going on, so take your time and make sure. That's all. Right?
Yeah. Well, everyone's got their stuff. It's really how you're managing it.
Yeah.
It's a matter of how you're managing it. We're all going through stuff. Some people try a little harder, I think, to behave themselves.
Yeah, and then they show you who they really are.
It pops up when you're not paying attention, and all of a sudden you can really see those true colors in a way that's a bold statement.
Yeah. We're going to look at Virgo. Virgo sun, moon, and rising. And if you have lots of aspects, you want to listen up. This is for September. Interesting. The Hermit card is in reverse. That is an interesting card. I always saw this card as disloyalty issues, honesty issues, bad advice, not listening to your higher self, not hearing spirit, not going to spirit. So this is a warning to you, Virgo, that you must take a moment and seriously consider the spiritual energy around you and to somehow draw from that in order to make September a better month. And if there's any disloyalty issues, and if you're the one who's being disloyal, you're going to get a kickback from this one and you're going to get a good lesson. If you're dealing with someone who's disloyal, it's time that you ended that situation.
And if I were to add one thing to that card, just one little simple aspect, is a perfect read in my opinion from you, Ma. But the one thing that I would add to it is very simply this. If you're really feeling like you don't know, make sure you get out of your shell a little bit and you ask others their opinion. You know, if you feel that dishonesty and you don't feel like you can trust yourself on the matter,
Good point.
make sure you ask others. Like,
That's a really good point.
you got someone close to you, that's time to give them a holler and say, hey, what's up?
That's a really good point. Yep.
So, I got the Knave of Swords, or the Page of Swords here. The Page of Swords, in many ways, as I've walked through this card as an air sign person, I know parts of it very well. And the part that I'd like to highlight about it is to make sure you pay attention to what you're saying and doing and the energy that you're putting out there. Like, for instance, even your spoken word and what you have to say. Like, if you're the kind of person to say, oh, that's just my luck, or, oh, that's just how my life is, you got to stop that. You got to put that part of you away, because it is not serving your greater good. It is not helping you to decipher these things. You really need to let go of that I don't know, I'm just trying attitude, because if you don't take some responsibility, then in some ways you're selling yourself. You know, you really got to make sure that you keep your footing, and even though we're a little windswept in our life and things are moving quickly, that you don't lose track of that main value that you're trying to hold on to. You know, that sword is a dangerous thing, and if you're not paying attention, you can lose, well, parts of yourself.
Yeah. I think the other thing that it might mention too, even if you had legal issues, it's a good idea to check in with a lawyer as well. If you have emotional issues, check in with a counselor, you know, all of that. So just so you understand, because sometimes I see the Page of Swords as, you know, if you look at the card, you see only one eye. That usually means that sometimes they're tripping around so fast they miss something.
Yeah.
Right? And so you really want to make sure you have somebody else on your side, like you said, who's paying attention, who might see another version of the truth for you. Right?
Yeah. Coupled very nicely with the Hermit.
Yeah, for sure, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we're going to look at Libra. Libra, this is for you, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. This is for the month of September. Here we go. All right. Okay. So this is for Libra. We have the Page of Cups in reverse. I'm going to say that if you have young children or even young adult children, you may have some issues coming up for them that are really going to strike your chords, worrying you, concerning you. There could be some sort of, how do I put that? Even some sort of abuse that have happened. It sort of reminds me of another Libra friend whose son was run down by his ex-girlfriend, literally run down with a car. So stuff like that. So, you know, if it's about your kids, you want to check in with them, make sure they're okay, make sure that, you know, they may be really feeling disorientated and discombobulated. The other thing is, if there's any of your children are not behaving in a normal way or somehow depressed or sad, anything like that, I really want you to check in with them, those children, and maybe get some assistance to see what's going on, so you can sort of reach them at the deepest level.
Got the Fool. That's my favorite guy in the whole deck.
That's like your card.
That's me in many ways, or at least what I strive to be. And it's obviously, being my favorite card, I've really read into it. And a lot of this card is truly saying that you need to trust that the universe is going to prevail and bring you that perseverance and, well, the help that you need. And to truly have faith is a difficult thing. And, you know, faith is a word that's thrown around a lot. So to clarify what I mean, it's trusting that flow of the universe is going to take you, well, where you feel you need to be. And it's going to bring you to a place where you are protected and looked after, and that you do have the tools that you need, even if you don't feel you do. So especially to couple that with the vibration of what my mother said, I would say that the most important thing you can do here is also, if you're wondering or worried, to really take a leap of faith and make sure you ask the questions that you feel are hard to ask in your heart, or maybe that it would be hard to have an answer come through on, and to really trust that, if your feelings are right, then the right things will come out, and it will leave space for that faithful energy, that guidance to come through, and that you will be able to do something about what's going on in your life here.
Mm-hmm.
So lastly, I'll speak quickly about this card in the new vision, just so you guys see it, because I was looking for it. It's one of my favorite cards. It has a volcano erupting in the background. That volcano erupting in the Fool, there's a part of that energy that's truly ready to just break free and explode into itself.
Yeah.
And I promise you that if you put your faithful energy into spirit, and you put your faithful energy into that Fool, into that child, into that situation, into whatever you're going through, that you have the power to get through it.
I agree. And to also add that this could also be your child within. The child within you may need to take a leap of faith. The child within you may need to review the things in your past that aren't healed, that haven't been resolved. And as Skylar said, take a leap of faith and let it explode and become the true you. Okay? That's going to do Scorpio's sun, moon, and ascendant. And if you have lots of aspects, please consider this an important read for September. Here we go. Oh, this is awesome. Scorpio. This is a Six of Wands. Six of Wands is a great card for feeling really good about yourself, your accomplishments, having others around you that are supporting you, holding you in high regards. Ooh, there's lots of harmony after strife, because the Five of Wands was there. There's been strife and difficulty. Now there's harmony and happiness, and you're really, all your efforts are being paid off. You're finally where you want to be, moving in the right direction, Scorpio. And there could be some fun attached to that too, with some friends and family around you.
So I got the Four of Pentacles in reverse. Even when we're making it and things are going our way, that doesn't necessarily mean we're supposed to do things like overspend or overexert ourselves. When things are good, you can still push those scales the wrong way. So to make sure that, especially if things are going really well, that you continue to pay karma its worth, and make sure that you give as much as the world is giving you. And that, whether it be tipping a little deeper, or making sure that you put a couple coins in that person's cup, that you're not holding too tightly on to your material wealth. This card can really represent, well, the kind of vibration of holding that soap too tight and it flying out of your hands.
Yeah.
Especially in reverse.
Yeah.
So do yourself a favor and, really look at everything that you're winning as something that you need for something else, not as some magical, happy, here's a gift, throw it into the wind kind of situation. It's there because you're going to need it. So make sure you hold on to it in a way that's healthy, and you give away certain parts of it to the correct sources.
I think that's a really good analogy, especially with the Six of Wands, because that would be sort of like giving to your supporters.
Yeah.
So be kind to your supporters. Don't forget who's supporting you. Don't forget who's being your helper. And if you've got a little extra, hand it out.
Yeah, well, and those who have your back are the ones who truly need you, just like you've needed them. Mm-hmm. They're probably one of the reasons why you're getting all those compliments, all those things. Make sure you pay them back.
Yeah.
Karma is not always the nicest lady. And I think it's very important to pay homage to her where it counts.
Yeah. Good reading. Sagittarius sun, moon, and ascendant. And if you have lots of aspects, you want to listen up. This is for the month of September. You have the Six of Cups in reverse. That's an interesting card because normally it means people from the past, people, kindness from the past, lovers from the past, friends from the past coming towards you. In the reverse, it says you may have to get rid of them. You may have to let them go. You may have to cut your ties with certain people that are draining you, hurting you, pushing you too far. And there might be people that you had, really heartfelt feelings for at some point in time. And now you're going to have to do a cut. You're going to have to move forward on your own.
Judgment, upright.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with that read that you just received, I would say that it's very important for you, Sagittarius, to really trust what you're feeling and really realize that, your judgment is sound. That you're not just trying to be too hard on anybody here. You're giving them exactly what they've earned and what they've kind of created in you for them. So to truly trust your feelings and your thoughts and your experience with these people in a way that helps you with this equation and makes you realize that, in certain situations, it's not you, it's them. And
in this case, yes.
In this case, I would say it's them.
Point the finger.
Sometimes it's healthy. Sometimes other people are the problems. And that's not you being negative or
facetious
mean towards them. That's you being good to yourself. And for some of the Sagittarian energy I know out there, well, you guys got to be good to yourselves.
Yep.
Too hard on yourselves a lot of the time.
Yep, I agree. I love Sagittarians.
Me too.
Yeah, I do.
Me too. I've had a lot of good relationships with Sagittarian people. And if I can think of one theme that I've had to tell all of them, it's would you be nice to yourself, guys. Give yourself the credit that you've earned with that judgment of yours.
Yeah. Capricorn sun, moon, and ascendant. And if you have lots of aspects, you want to listen up. This is for the month of September. Well, you got the star card in reverse. This means that you could probably be, something may be burdening you, and you're holding on to it, and you're not sure how to deal with it. And truly, I would say, you probably got yourself involved in too many things all at the same time, and nothing's coming together the way you really want it. It's really a good idea for you to stabilize a little bit. So this is when I would sit down and really look at what do you love, what don't you love, what do you want to keep in your life, and what do you want to let go. It's a really good, important time for you to really be more selective about what you allow in your space and what you allow in your relationships. Interesting struggles this month. You may have put a lot of energy into something and thought that good stuff was coming back, but then you're kind of looking at it, it's coming back tainted. So this month, September, is going to be a month where you're true to yourself, honest with what you're seeing going on, and you're going to recognize where you're at. And probably by October, you're going to make some changes according to what you've figured out in September.
At the Four of Cups, upright. Something I'd like to mention about this card is that if you feel like, you're good, you've got enough, you don't need any more, everything's fine, that I suggest that you strive for more. I suggest that instead of you settling for fine, that you really consider taking that extra emotional energy on, whether it's dealing with more emotional baggage, whether it's taking on some emotional character from some energy around you, whether it's just working on your own personal feelings of the subject, that you really allow your ability, because as you can see, that cup's kind of coming out of nowhere, to accept the gifts that Spirit gives to you and not feel like you're fine, because you never know when certain things are going to run out, and you don't know what is until you truly investigate it. So don't cross your arms and say, I'm fine, because sometimes that's not good enough.
I think the other thing I might stress is, don't take on any more until you clear your slate. Once you've cleared your slate, then be more selective, eh?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I can feel that.
Be more selective. Aquarius sun, moon, and ascendant. And if you have lots of Aquarius aspects, this is for you for the month of September. This is the Two of Swords, and I see this card as sitting with yourself, sitting in the silence of self, and thinking about what direction you want to take yourself. Maybe you're not really happy with where you're at. Something you got to tweak about where you're living, what you're living at, how you're living, where you're working, who you're hanging out with, all of it. So you're going to be tweaking that. You're going to be sitting there thinking it through. So I think the month of September is really a month of thinking it through, going inside, seeing what self needs, responding to self's needs, and seriously finding what really turns you on, okay? What you really need to make you feel as if you're living life in your best way. So I think September is going to be a good time for you to sit with yourself and make sure you know this, beyond anything else. There may be lots of directions, but none of them are clear yet. None of them will be clear, not even in September. It's a good time to sit with yourself.
Wheel of Fortune upright.
Good.
And of course, being an Aquarian, I can't do anything but bring this into my life a little bit. And I'd like to talk about luck and making sure that you really look at luck correctly. I got hit by a truck like yesterday, and that's not a joke. I was on a motorcycle, and I lived. I walked away. I drove away. And it wasn't a little thing. I'm hurting a little bit today. I'm a little bit bruised, but I'm looking at my luck, and you know what? It's intact. It's intact, just like my body is. And I'd like to mention that, especially if you're sitting with yourself at this time in a place of, well, picking a direction, and especially if it's anything like the position that I'm in, that you really look at your options in a way where you kind of have weighed and created space and kind of put everything in its own right, so you can really experience those things in a way that's healthy and correct. The Wheel of Fortune is talking about all the right things being available and luck being on your side, and that turn of the wheel is in your favor. But it's very important to make sure that you don't test your luck. And especially for myself, I'm hearing that loudly. And I'm going to put that to work. And I really suggest that you fellow Aquarians out there, you gotta make sure you pick your path carefully and that you pay attention to that path ahead. Because sometimes a truck pulls out, man. It's not great.
I think that I'm really grateful you're here, son. I don't know how I could live life without you. So, yeah, we really had a close call the other day with that, eh?
Yeah.
The other thing I'd like to point out about the Wheel of Fortune is the 4 people reading books. Okay? So to me, it's also saying, take the time to research. Take the time to research what you think might be a better thing for you to add in your life. Take the time to read, to learn, to listen to other wise ones, to glean all the messages that have come your way as you're doing, and take the best pieces of it all out and sort of lay it out, you know. There's probably a story there.
I will say one more thing, especially because this guy hanging out behind me, I'm sure there's all kinds of archetypes that it could be, but I believe a lot of the time that journey of that fool that I feel I am in some ways, it's made to break us, to build us back up. You cannot create without destruction, and I'd like to mention that if you try too hard to run to one side of that spectrum, that it will eventually catch up with you, and that you need to pay homage to the process.
Right?
Good luck, Aquarian.
Right?
Wish me luck too.
Always, baby. Okay, So this is for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. And if you have lots of aspects of Pisces, this is for you. I want you to listen up for the month of September. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I got the Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is in reverse. So it tells me, Pisces, whatever you're not feeling, you're going to leave. If you don't like the job, you're out. If you don't like the man, you're out. If you don't like the woman, you're out. Mm-hmm. If you don't like what you're doing, what you're playing, where you're living, all of it, you're going to cut ties with stuff that don't feel right for you in September. And this is probably really important because you won't, if you try to stay in something that you're not feeling a full commitment to, you're going to dislike it, right? You're not going to really enjoy doing it. The other thing is that it might also be mentioning, because Saturn and the Pisces and all that stuff that's going on right now, it may be that you have been restricted in ways that you're not comfortable with. And that's probably where you're going to get rid of it first, so to shirk it off you and move forward. So yeah, I think Pisces, this month's going to be a clearing away what doesn't serve your highest good. Ha!
And that is going to bring you the Magician.
Yeah.
It's going to bring you all the tools that you need to be your own magician, and especially if it has to do with relationship, as my mother suggested it may, whether it's romantic or not. It'll bring you the right person, too. It'll bring you to yourself, which is the only ultimate way to that right person, guys. You can't find that right person if you're not your right person yet. And that's been loudly kind of displayed to me over the last little while. So what I will also say about this Magician, and especially because I'm using my favorite deck here, is that monkey behind his back. You got to make sure you deal with that guy. Because having a monkey on your back is not necessarily a good thing. That's not what you want. You don't want that energy there. That energy isn't necessarily playing well with you, and it's you that's not playing well with you. So maybe some of the reasons why you need some of that time on your own and those restrictions are there is so you can do like the Aquarian is being suggested to do and spend some time with yourself. And for those out there that are experiencing some of these solar events in a very serious way in your relationship space, I will mention to you, because of how many breakups I know are occurring right now out there, realize that there is strength in being alone. That's the strongest lady right now I've ever met in my life, and she's been on her own romantically for a long time. Mm-hmm. I understand that Temperance card and why it was played for you, because I do believe that the work that we do on ourselves is what truly brings us where we're meant to be, whether it's in relationship or not, guys.
With yourself even.
You got to have that relationship with yourself correct. You got to have that relationship with number one in a position that is first place in your life. You can't do right by everyone else when you're not doing right by yourself. So make sure you do yourself a favor. And no matter how many onlookers you got, as you can see in the new vision here, that you're paying attention to your own situation, holding on to your own magical energy and utilizing exactly the tools that you need in the ways that you need them. Not worrying so much about those onlookers with that monkeys on your back.
And the other thing I'd like to point out about that is using your words magically, write them out, send them out into the universe, make sure whatever you don't want to happen, if you have to cut ties, make sure the words are clear, make sure they're powerful and honest, okay? Just be real with yourself no matter what. And I'd like to remind you that you are Pisces moon. Mm-hmm. So...
Oh, this is...
yeah.
I believe everything I read in some way or another is for me, whether or not it's associated to my astrological sign. I feel like a lot of the time this psychic information, whether or not we're getting it in our exact position or not, if you're sitting there and you haven't had a chance to hear about your sign, you're hearing about something you need to hear. This could be someone very important to you in your life, and you don't necessarily know what their moon sign is. Mm-hmm. So don't just look after yourself. Look after those around you. It's very important to, of course, make sure you give most of that attention to what you need. But that attention that's elsewhere, that could be also something you need to hear for yourself.
Well, yeah, sometimes people will say, gee, that sounds like you were reading me, and it wasn't. I wasn't reading that sign. But what I've noticed is when people come onto my lives, or or even when I'm doing readings for people, I find there's always something in that session, or whatever I'm hearing really matters for me too. Okay, so if you come into this live and something resonated well with you, take it on, even if it wasn't your sign, okay, that we were reading for, because it was probably meant for you, either for you personally or for someone around you, and it's going to matter to you. It's going to be a part of you. And there's one thing else I'd like to talk a little bit about before we say goodnight, and that is this. Mercury retrograde is coming in. Yeah, it's coming in again. Thank you, Sonny. It's coming in again, and this is going to cause a little bit of an upheaval, as it always does, especially for those people who are highly affected by things because they are Mercury led. So that is the Gemini energy and Virgo energy. So if you have Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in that area, in Mercury, you're probably going to feel it the most. But if you're a lucky sign that has Mercury retrograde in your natal, when it comes, it's going to be breezy and easy, just so you know. For me, it always hits me. And I do my best. I've even thought about wearing a foil hat just so it would leave me alone.
I have to make a whole suit.
Yes, I would. Remember when I lost my Denali?
Oh, man.
It was during a Mercury retrograde. I lost a $10,000 car. You know what I lost it to? Forgetting to put oil in. Remember that?
No, I forget.
I was so upset with myself. $10,000 vehicle out the window. At 5 a.m. yet, when I had to go to the store, we had a security breach, and I had to go to the store, and I'm rushing off to the store, and I'm at the top of the hill, 5 a.m, and my car dies, never to be used again.
Yeah, that was a sad day, wasn't it?
Oh, boy.
Don't worry, I'll make sure to look after your cars from here for you.
Yeah, well, you weren't living with me then. You were living on your own, remember?
I remember it.
Yeah. So I hope you folks like this experience with my son and I.
And just as we get ready to sign out here, I'll mention, if you guys liked hearing what I had to say, I'm going to start putting together more content. I'm going to make sure that I do this thing like I'm saying I'm going to do it, listening to myself, listening to my mama. So I'm going to. So if you guys want to follow me too, or get yourself on board with any of my social medias, again, my name's Skylar. My handle on these things is island_psychic_Skylar.
And his name is Skylar Pink is his name. Skylar Pink.
And thanks for listening to me.
Yeah. So please go over to his channel and follow, because then what we'll do, once he gets 1,000 people, we're going to do some matches, and we'll have a lot of fun, because he'll be on his phone at his house and I'll be here. So, we had to pull him in here because I'm the one with all the people right now.
Yeah, you're all in there. It's nice to see you, and thank you for accepting me into your home, probably. Yeah. I appreciate it. And the last thing I'll say from me to you guys is not just a thank you, but also, well, I hope that, and if there's one thing that I wanted to achieve by doing this here, it's truly to help somebody and to be able to support and access somebody who's just plain too far for me to get to. Yeah. I can only do so much from this physical existence that I'm experiencing, and I'm here. I like being in Vancouver. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful island. I'm very happy to be here. But it's going to be hard to get all of you from this island. So,
and just so I'll
see you here.
Yeah. Just so you know, I'd like to say one last thing here. Skylar has been presenting psychic abilities for a really long time. And he is a 6th generation psychic in our family. And I'd like you to know of a story, just before we go. We have a few minutes, about my first knowings and when Skylar showed he was psychic. And I think he can tell the story, and I'll fill in where he misses, if that's okay. Is that okay?
Sure, totally. Are we talking about that first time with Grandma? Yeah. So I was maybe 2 years old.
Just under 2.
Just under 2, okay. And I was receiving messages in dream time that my grandmother was sick. And she was probably like, as matriarchs are very important to me in my life, one of the most important people in my life at that time. And I was receiving messages that she was going to be taken by cancer. And I, of course, being 2 years old, not very full of my linguistic skills at that time, I drew my grandmother's sickness on the wall. I drew her lung, and I drew the cancer that she had in her body. And that was, I guess, my first real download from spirit for others in my life and what I remember. And of course, I'd love you to elaborate in the ways you were obviously a little more aware.
Yeah, he was dreaming that her death was coming very soon. And yes, Island Psychic Skylar, thank you. He was dreaming that his grandmother was going to die every night for about a week. And finally, I had my mother on the phone talking to him to calm him down. And I decided to take it to my tarot. And I checked my tarot, and it said there was a problem. And I asked her, and she said she was coughing up blood. She did have cancer. She had it in her right lung. Skylar actually drew on the wall an actual image of it as if it was what I was looking at as an x-ray, drew the 3 lines exactly where she had the illness, and I believe he saved her life. And now she's a pain in my ass. No, I'm kidding.
Ours. But I love her to death.
Yeah. So she's still here 20, well, how many years now? 30, almost.
I'm 31.
28 years, 29 years.
Been here for a long time since that death sentence she got.
She got a 3 to 6 month death sentence.
And just to pay a little bit of homage to this one here, just because I'm the one that got that psychic information doesn't necessarily mean I'm the one that saved your life. If it wasn't for you, you probably wouldn't be saying that, because you put a lot of energy into herbs, manifestation, and all of the above to make sure you kept that pain in your butt around. And she's still kicking. Trust me. She's still kicking.
And she's an Aries, and she's some woman, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, she's taught me a lot through a lot of different parts of my life, and I'm very happy that I was given the message to keep her around. And just for those who are a little afraid of receiving heavy messages like that, realize,
look at
how it went. If you're afraid of getting a reading, if you're like, oh, I don't know, they might tell me something bad, what if it's the thing you need to hear to make sure you don't go down that path that's, I don't want to be that fear-mongering guy, but the potential end, whether it's just to something good or your ultimate end.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of bad information. That's what psychics are here to help with.
Yeah.
We can give you guidance and a pathway that helps you get out of that dark spot that you found yourself in. And trust me, we all find ourselves there. Yep. Even us, highlighted psychics that have all these great intuitions and great messages coming through to us, we still stand in it sometimes, guys. We still got to clean off our shoe, and we still need to pay attention to the messages that are given to us by those around us. We don't get it all either.
That's right.
So make sure you hear all of the little messages, and that's why things like your sign, they're important. They're very important. But every message you hear is also justly important to make sure you hear it out and you listen to what the offering is to you. The universe doesn't bring things to you by accident.
No.
And the more that you look at what the universe is bringing you, well, the more of a hand up you're going to have in any situation that you experience during this embodiment here as a human being today on this soul's journey, on the journey of the fool. We're all just fools here.
Yep. I am so happy to have you all here. Thank you so much. Just so you know, we are Earth and Sky Connection. We do have Earth and Sky Connection Inc. here on TikTok if you want to follow us there as well. And Island Psychic Skylar, Island_Psychic_Skylar, spell it with an A-R. No. A-R. Did I say it right?
Yep.
Island Psychic, okay.
Island Psychic Skylar.
Island Psychic Skylar, I said it right, okay. And also, earthandskyconnection.com is our website. And if you want a reading for any one of us, you just have to go there and check in. If you can't find Skylar's click to book and you really want a reading with him, please just email us and I'll make sure that happens. Okay, until we get all his particulars up there. He was so young. Yes, he was. He's now 31. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.